Welcome. This is a Note from Mom podcast, and I'm your host, Amie Reed Skwiat. Glad to be here. Thank you for being here. Just want to say, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We are now into December, and I want to talk a little bit about some holiday boundaries. Boundaries is a loaded topic, and I will definitely talk more about them down the line. But for right now, I want to talk about, I'm going to start with holiday boundaries, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of a pause for a second, because then I'm going to talk about Christmas magic and presents. So if you have young ears listening or they are around, you can make sure you either have earplugs in or headphones in, or you turn it off so they don't hear it. I got past Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a great one. I hope you've been practicing some gratitude work and opening up your mind and your heart, which is so fun. Okay, so now that it's December, we are going to talk about a few things. So boundaries. I've got to tell you, one of my busiest months is December. So leading up to holidays, there are a lot of emotions that happen around the holidays. So it can be grief, it can be obviously excitement, it can be exhaustion, it can be kind of nervousness and anxiety about going into not only the holidays, but like seeing family members, certain family members. So usually the weeks leading up to any major holiday is pretty busy. And after, because I have clients that all want to like process what happened and talk through it. It's pretty cool, but it also, like, there's a lot that goes to the holidays. And that's what I want to talk about. So let's talk about boundaries. I'm going to start with my classic story that if you've followed me or you've heard me talk, I have said this, so you might have heard this before, but when I started I've been talking about external things, right? And when I started figuring out that my external world is what caused me a lot of anxiety and some depression, and I started figuring out how I wanted to make that better so that I didn't have so much anxiety. And I figured out I was an introvert, so that changed things. But one of the biggest things I did was read the book Boundaries. It's a beautiful book. And what it did was show me that I had no boundaries, that I was constantly on for everyone in my family. I was constantly on for all the clients that I had. I was constantly like giving myself and kind of my chi to other people and not protecting it. I had no boundaries around myself, my energy, my time. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. So one of the most profound things I did was read this book, Boundaries, and the writer is a psychologist. His name is John Townsend, I believe. Anyway, it's a really cool book. If you see it on Amazon, it says Boundaries. It's red and white and it has a pencil mark through it on the cover. So anyway, it's awesome. And so when I started doing boundary work, one of the first things I decided was when my daughter was born, we would not travel for Christmas, on Christmas, around Christmas, before or after. I'll tell you why. As a kid, we traveled all the time for Christmas. And I don't want to say it was awful, because I loved being around my family members. I got to see, both sides of the family, my mom's side, my dad's side. I loved being with my cousins and my family and my grandparents and everyone. I really did. But the traveling was kind of hard. It was, some days we were traveling on Christmas Day. It was just kind of a stressful feeling. Honestly, as a kid, I never knew if Santa was going to find me. So I'd watch the news to see where the sleigh was, to see hopefully he would find me, which thankfully he did every year. but yeah, it just wasn't something that I wanted for my kids and my family. Plus, it's stressful. Um, so yeah, that was a rule that I made. So I set that boundary before my daughter was even born. And I'm gonna be honest, I got a lot of pushback with that, right? Like I got a lot of pushback with, well, why aren't you coming? When are you coming? You need to come. This could be your grandparents' last Christmas. There was a lot of that. I would get text messages, I would get comments, I would get emails. Um, and that continued over like 3-ish years, 3 to 4 years. And then finally, I think my family members understood that it wasn't happening. And it still doesn't happen to this day. But so that was just like one example of a boundary I put around the holidays. Another thing that I've decided to do is space out the activities, right? Like we get so bogged down by the activities and the Santa things and the Christmas parties, and like it's so much fun, but like I remember like I would do all those things and then I'd get real sick, and I would get sick like around Christmas because we're in this sympathetic nervous system overdrive place because we're doing all these things and it's awesome, and then you get to Christmas and parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, and that's when your body wants all the toxins to get out, so you start getting kind of sick, and then you got to lay down and you don't get to enjoy the actual holiday as much. So anyway, that is something that I've done and I do now, is I space out the activities that we have. I try my best not to do something back to back nights, especially because we all need sleep. Sleep is important during this time because there is a lot of illnesses going around, and a lot of candies being consumed. So that's another reason why we kind of get sick. We're not at our healthiest. And so just spacing that out, make sure my kids still get like ample sleep. Of course, there are nights where I let them stay up later, but I try my best to stick to the schedule. Another thing about holiday boundaries is when you do go somewhere and you travel, make sure everyone knows when you're coming and when you're leaving. Set a boundary around that. Set a boundary around the amount of time you spend with people. Sometimes that's best. Like if you go to a Christmas party, like make sure when, you and your spouse or you and your partner know, like, okay, we're going to leave at this time, right? So our kids can get home and go to sleep. So just some of those kind of like boundaries. And then one of my favorites is I set kind of for myself, or boundaries around the type of gifts I get my kids. I don't know why I started this. I actually have no idea, but so I started making kind of like this list for what I wanted to get my kids specifically. So I have like 5 categories. One is something that they need. One is something that they want. One is something that's like a toy or a craft, like depending on how old they are. One is something to wear. And then one is like something that's educational or something that they can read. And I literally put these things like in notes in my phone and type them out under each kid's name, and then I put examples of some things that I can get for them. So for example, I can use my daughter this year. She definitely wants she wants the Chromebook computer that she does at school. She wants that because there's this membership to this math and English game called Prodigy, and she loves it. So it's very hard for my husband and I to share our computers because we both work from home and we need the computer. And so this is actually something that will be beneficial for all, and she wants it. So that's an example of something that I put, which is Chromebook. And then for like education, she wants a membership to this Prodigy thing. And so that would be one thing I would put under there. Something that she needs warm boots. I have a hard time buying my kids shoes, especially hers, because they wear out or they grow out of them so fast. So I've been putting off like warm boots. She has like running shoes and then she has Crocs, right? And so she needs some like warm boots because she walks to school every day. So I'm going to do that, and maybe some cute cowboy boots, um, something like that. And so those are just examples, something that like a toy that she wants that I don't really necessarily want to give her, but she wants a like a vending machine, gumball machine thing. That's something that she's put on her list. So I make these notes like as I go through the year, and I'm not always like proactive. Like I don't always start in January, but like, around the end of the summer, like if she starts bringing things up, I'll put that under there. So I make these notes as we go. I also make notes for myself because I am notorious for wanting these things throughout the year. And then I get to Christmas and my family's like, hey, what do you want? And I'm like, I have no idea. But if I create this list, then I just send the list. And I do. I send the list and then they know what I want. So those are just some really, fun examples of some boundaries that you can put around, time management, around your energy, how many events you go to, how often. So yeah, I think if you can kind of create these boundaries and kind of stick to them each Christmas or each holiday, it just really protects your mental energy and your energy, and you're not so fatigued. And hopefully you won't get sick at the end like a lot of people do. Another thing I wanted to talk about, so this is when put in earphones if young ears are around, or turn me off. So one of the things I love about Christmas in particular is the magic around it, right? And I know that some people have a hard time kind of lying about, mythical creatures, such as the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and Santa, all of these things. But I'm just going to be really blunt. That is what childhood is about. It is about this magical time where you get to be creative and think all these magical things and believe these things if you want. And like, life is hard enough once you become adult. Like, you don't get to believe in those things. You have to seek the truth and think for yourself. And it's just, life's hard enough past that point. So just, I don't know. I'm a big proponent, like, let your kids imagine, let your kids believe. And this whole thing, like, I've heard, and I get it, but it's like, I don't want to lie to my kids, right? Well, how often do you lie to your kids? If you really think about it, like, how many times has your kid said, hey, mom, I want to do this. Okay, well, we'll think about it. I'll think about it. Or let me ask your dad. Are you going to think about it? Are you going to ask your dad? No, because it's a no. It's a no, but you are placating your kid, right? It's more of a, I'm placating, right? So, how many times, okay, so I have 3 kids, right? Like, how many times have I heard at nighttime when they're wanting one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, one more thing? How many times do I say, hey, you can do that tomorrow, or we'll get that in the morning, or maybe tomorrow night, or, I want ice cream. Well, maybe this Friday we'll go get ice cream. Do I mean it? Probably not. If we get to Friday and they're still asking for ice cream or that one more thing and they've remembered it, then yeah, I'll consider it. But, there's a lot of things that we say to our kids that we actually don't mean, like, hey, we're leaving in 5 minutes. Do I know we're leaving in 5 minutes? No, because I know that we're not even close to ready. Do I say it for them to get ready? Yes. Do I say things for them to go to bed? Yes, I do. Right. So just if you feel this guilt of like, I don't know how I feel about, being creative, like, especially Elf on the Shelf. Okay. I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that for my kid. This is ridiculous. I'll forget. I don't want to remember. This is a lot of energy. And did I give in? Yes, I did. I did, because my 7-year-old daughter was around all these people who had these wonderful elves that were on the shelf and moved every night. And there was a lot of magic there. And so did I give in? Yes. Has it been fun? Yes. I actually think it's kind of cool. And I think it's a tool, like parents need these tools to get through tough months and tough times. Like it's hard for these kids to go to school during December. And it's hard for us because we have a lot of activities and things that we need to do and a lot of things we need to get done. And I see Elf as on the shelf as a tool. Okay. Because this elf gets my kids to go to sleep. And this elf gets my kids to act nice. And it gets my kids to not fight. And they think this wonderful elf is watching over them and going to tell Santa all the things that they're doing, whether it's good or bad. So it's a tool for me. And it's a beautiful one. I'm not gonna lie. So I get some people don't like it. If it's not your thing, don't do it. But man, it's kind of fun. It also gets my daughter up in the morning. She like jumps up because she wants to go find the elf. So I see it as a tool, do it or not, whatever it is, but it's kind of fun. So anyway, I get the guilt behind a lot of things, but gosh, kids, like right now as kids, they think in this, they have the brain waves are theta. So it's this beautiful, like imaginary, creative, fun, make-believe place. And once you get past your childhood, you no longer live in that place of theta. You get into alpha and beta, and you've got to like be logical and grow up and adult. And, that brings on its own things. So just right now, I'm just one of those people that's like, let's make the magic happen. Let's let them believe, let them have fun, right? And we'll explain it later, right? And it'll be fine. We're fine. As adults, we're fine. So yeah, so just there's my tidbit. Two tools also I want to give you real quick. So when you go to be around family and you have a hard time being around certain family members or it's overwhelming, do these two things. So one, have listening ears, like informational gather and ask questions. Okay, so use this genuine curiosity way of communicating. So like say a family member brings up politics or something that you don't agree with, just ask more questions, right? Like, oh, that's interesting. I've never thought about it that way. Could you tell me more? Right? Because we are constantly learning and you may not agree with it, and that's okay. But the arguments and the resentment that comes with all of this, sometimes it's just not necessary during the holidays, right? So informational gather, ask questions. If you need to go to that person after the holidays and talk to them about it, then do it, right? But it doesn't have to be on Christmas or during the holidays. Another thing is if you are having a conversation with somebody and say you are confronting someone after the holidays, right? Or maybe during the holidays, just go take the approach of I statements, right? So I have found that that's a hard thing for me to believe, or I see it a little bit differently, right? Or that's not something that I agree with, so instead of it being like, well, that's not right. How can you believe that? Right? Like instead of using you, how can you believe that? Or you did this to me, or you're making me anxious, or you make me nervous, whatever it is, like use I, right? Like I've noticed that when I'm around you, I am anxious. And maybe I'm not sure why that is. Can we talk about it? So anyway, there's just tools. Just remember the holidays can be very informational gathering, appropriate. Just listen ears, ask questions, gather information. You still have a problem with it after the holidays, approach that person, use I statements. I noticed, I feel. It's just kind of a beautiful way to understand your family a little bit more, the family dynamics, and then figure out what to do about it after. So anyway, okay, that's all I wanted to say for this first part of December. I hope that you have a wonderful December. I hope it's a lot of fun. I hope you can draw some boundaries around your energy, your mind, and just the holiday, and yeah, have fun with it. So it's good to see you. To my kids, I love you more than the sun rises, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.